What is happening, people? So I normally don't do videos on mechanic work. I am somewhat mechanically inclined. I am not a mechanic. I'll just say that first. My videos consist of more hunting and fishing. That's my genre. But anyway, this is my primary truck that I pull my boat with. And I've experienced some of the same problems you guys have with the sputtering. When you put your foot in it, you try to go on down the road, it'll go into limp mode, it'll sputter, engine light comes on, flashes, and normal driving, it seems to calm down as long as you don't put your foot in it. But when you put your foot in it and that turbo kicks in, it automatically sends codes out. The truck goes to skipping or even go into limp mode. I've had mine to go into limp mode one time towing my boat. So it seems to be getting worse. So I went online, looked around, and I see that people are drilling these weep holes in the intercooler. And so I said, well, you know what? That's a pretty cheap fix. Ford should address this issue with some sort of kit that you can plug and you can drain these intercoolers at intervals like when you change your oil. That's what needs to happen. But Ford has not addressed this issue. So anyway, this is how my problem started, and I'm going to keep this video short and to the point. And I'm going to follow through. I saw several videos, didn't really follow through and see if that actually solved the problem or not. So here we go. So I first had a problem with it skipping. Went to I went to AutoZone, got them to run the code, came up with this coil, number 3 bank was skipping. Okay, that might be my problem. So about 68, 70 bucks, changed that out. So the next day, going to work, a little bit warmer during the day, decided I'm gonna kick it. Kicked it in, turbo kicked in, automatically start skipping again. Knew I didn't have the problem solved. So did this sound familiar? So I go back to AutoZone. I said, hey, let's run these codes again on this truck. Went out, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 bank was all sending out codes. He says, hey, you need you a set of spark plugs. Now Ford recommends changing these spark plugs at 100,000. 78,000 miles on this particular truck. So anyway, I'm not going to put these spark plugs in it yet because I'm going to drill a weep hole in it first, and I'm going to try that to see if it solves the problem. If I put these spark plugs in it and drill a weep hole, we will never know whether this fixed the issue or not. So apparently, looking online, many people are having the same issue. So this is your intercooler here. For those who haven't seen the intercooler, let me get the GoPro down here pretty close. This is your intercooler here, and this is the line coming in from the turbo. Air flows through here, back out this pipe here, and back up to your intake. Let's get started, and we are going to drill the hole in this intercooler and see what comes out of it. And in a couple of days, I'm going to drive it for a couple of days and just see what happens, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to let you know if that solved the problem. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is take this bolt here. This is a 13 millimeter. Take this bolt off here, and this drops this shield here, 13 millimeter. This is the size of the bolt. And all right, there's the first bolt. Just drop that down. All right, I gotta set the camera down. Away. Second bolt. And here's the shield that we just took off. Here, we'll just set this out to the side. So this is actually what we're trying to get to right here. And we're going to drill a weep hole right there in that. So I'm going to attempt to take this old jar right here. Don't tell my wife I'm using her cannon jar. She'll kill me. Let's see if I can do this and hold the drill at the same time. Okay. And there comes the water. There's water in it. There comes a little oil. Supposedly that's what's been the culprit in making this thing. Yeah, it's a lot of oil in it. So let's see what it does when I crank it up. Well, what that look like, y'all? Oh man. Regular coming out, ain't it? So I was gonna catch this stuff, but that's what came out. I guess you could probably see it coming out better than I could. But that was, yeah, wow. And that's supposedly causing my sputtering problem. Okay. Just got out of the truck. Initial run down the road about 1.5 miles and then back. The weep hole seemed to help. When I punched it, it still had a little shudder in it, but not as bad. And so I turned around at the end of the road and come back, and I really got on it pretty hard. And it started to skip, engine light got to flashing, but it cleared up much quicker than it has been. So I'm thinking there's still some oil and moisture in there that probably needs to have some time to actually get out of it. Anyway, I'm not going to post this for a couple of more days, and I want to drive this thing and till all that moisture can get out of it. The only other alternative I can see is to replace that coil in there with a new one. That's the only thing I can see to do other than do this, since it has so much condensation in it. Anyway, I'll be back with you in a couple of days and let you know how this turns out. So I'm back to give you a follow-up like I told you I would do after a couple of days after drilling that hole in the intercooler. So I drilled the hole in the intercooler, drove it down the road. Seemed to help a little bit, but not so much. So 2 days, same results. So I had the set of spark plugs. So after the second day, that afternoon, come home, pull the old spark plugs out. They were worn some. It was 78,000 miles on this truck. And pulled those out and replaced them with new ones. Backed it out of the shop, took off down the road. Problem solved. No skipping. No light blinking. And so I drove it to work yesterday. Again today. No issues. So I carried it by AutoZone, had them hook the machine up to it and turn the engine light off. And drove it this afternoon, probably 30 miles. Punched it 2 or 3 times, seemed like the problem solved. The intercooler hole drilling did not solve my skipping problem, but it was probably a contributing factor. I will say that. So hopefully by drilling the hole in the intercooler, not a bad idea. It will keep that condensation and that sludge from building up in there. But anyway, that's my results for this. That's the bull results. And so I'm not going to put anything online that I wouldn't try myself or that wouldn't work for me. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember, it's a wild life, and I'll see you in the field.